Welcome to the Richard Sherman podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel to get more content. We coming at you 2 times a week. Subscribe now. Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. I'm here with my guy, Mitch Eisenstein. Football is still a crazy game, Mitchell. You expect one thing, you get another. One team looks like they have the game under control, cruising, and you blink twice and they're losing. What's the deal?
It's happened the last couple weeks, Rich. I mean, this Baltimore Ravens team, we're texting throughout the game. They look good. Lamar, it's about to be expensive, Richard. It's about to be expensive. And then they blow a 20-3 lead, and they elect not to kick the field goal on 4th and goal. I mean, walk me through this game, Rich. I want to start with the decision on 4th and goal because that's the one that looks like it cost them the game. What do you do, Coach Richard Sherman? What are you doing in that set of circumstances?
Well, hindsight's always 20/20, so this is going to be a perfectly visioned call. I would have kicked the field goal. Obviously, clearly, that's the right call because that's the call that they didn't make. But with their offense stagnant, as they had been in the second half, they were winning 20-3. Buffalo ran the score all the way back. You looked up and you're like, we can take any points we can get right now. It feels good. We've got the ball all the way down here. But no, you got to take the points. You always got to take the points. I can't say always, but in that situation, when you haven't scored a point since the first half, you take the points.
Richard, they did not take the points, and they got an L because of it. And this goes back, we kind of talked about it last week. Miami Dolphins against the Bills. The Bills controlled the clock, 40-20 time of possession. And here we are today, same set of circumstances, 40-20 the other way with the Ravens, and the Bills pull out the win. Does time of possession even matter anymore, Richard?
It clearly doesn't. And it clearly doesn't when you're playing the Buffalo Bills for one way or another. Buffalo Bills control the heck out of the clock, somehow lose to the Miami Dolphins with a time of possession of 40 and some change versus 19 and some change. And today, obviously, the Ravens controlled the game for the most part, but it didn't matter. Jordan Poyer came back. That was a huge – people forget Jordan Poyer has been out. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde is out for the rest of the year with a neck injury. Those are huge, big-time players. He's one of the best safeties in the National Football League, so, of course, he's going to come in and make impact. And he did. 2 interceptions. Josh Allen played a pretty pedestrian game by his standard, but guess what? 11 rushes, 70 yards, a touchdown. He did enough to get them a win, and that's all that matters.
That really is all that matters, Rich. I mean, I know you like the Bills. I know you've been really, really high on them all season. And when you can win a game like this, where you didn't play your best game throughout the beginning of the game and you come back and you win this game, I mean, Richard, that's the type of team that you win the sloppy ones on the road. This is a team that can go out and win it all.
No question. And you learn a lot from these games. You learn more. I mean, you really learn more from losses than you do wins. But a game you should have lost, you feel like you did lose, and you come out and win, there are still huge learning lessons there. It's almost like, you get in a car, you barely miss in a car accident and, your life saved and, it sends you on a path to really take advantage of every opportunity that's in front of you, to put your best foot forward, to be nice to people, to be kind, to make the world a better place, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to be great for them later on down the line when they're in that playoff dogfight with likely the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be fun to watch. Or the Miami Dolphins. That division's crazy.
You want to hear an absolutely crazy stat, Rich?
Shoot.
This is the Bills' first win in a one-possession game since 2020.
Sheesh, with Josh Allen, they don't win one possession.
Largest comeback of Josh Allen's career. I mean, that is unheard of, Rich. Honestly, that's shocking to me. But Richard, I was at the edge of my seat all day. I was tuned into one game, and I know you had a vested interest in it too. This was kind of our, I guess you could call it rivalry game to a degree. The Seahawks against my hometown Detroit Lions. And there are no gimmies in the NFL, Richard. I don't know if you've heard that before or not.
Mitchell, down DeAndre Swift, down Amon-Ra St. Brown.
The sun god.
51% of their yardage for the season, they're down. Lo and behold, it was never them, Mitchell. It was all Jared Goff. 352 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Carry them, Jared, carry them. But it's not enough to beat Geno and the boys.
Too many mistakes, Richard. And another insane stat. First time in franchise history, the Seattle Seahawks have not punt in a game.
It's Mitchell. They are running the offense like Pete has always wanted to run it. They got a good run game. Rashad Penny was running the ball, 17 carries, 151, 2 touchdowns. And every time he got a touchdown at the end, it seemed like the game sealer. But nope, Dan Campbell and the Fighting Lions kept coming back, kept blow after blow after blow after blow, a heavyweight fight. 1,073 yards combined, 12 touchdowns, 93 points. Not the shootout everybody expected, but the shootout you deserved. And Tyreek Woolen, the Rook. Second game, second pick. This time, he showed you. I run 4.2. I'm faster than everybody on the field. There's nobody catching me. Jared Goff, excuse me, you're not athletic like that. Get out of my way. I have celebrating to do.
Richard, if you're not a fan of the NFL and you watch that game, you might well just become a fan. I mean, that was one of the most entertaining games you're going to get in a long time. I mean, two teams that may or may not get into the conversation for the playoffs, but they certainly played a good football game today. And Rich, you talked about it at the beginning of the season. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks here, they sit 500, 2-2 on the year. They're a team that's going to be competitive in every game. They're going to win games like this. Geno Smith looks like a very competent quarterback. He looks like he's going to give him a shot to be in a lot of games. And who knows, man? I mean, do you think 9-8 is out of question? 8-9 out of question? What is the ceiling for this team this year?
I don't know, Mitchell. It just depends on which defense shows up, and they have to show up at some point or another. They need some plays to be made. They're playing pretty solid, but you give up 45 points. That's not winning football. Obviously, they're going through some growing pains, but Tyreek Woolen, you expect things from the Rook. It's not him. The D-line is, Al Woods and the boys are doing what they can, but Jamal Williams still had 19 carries for 108. That was huge, 2 touchdowns. They got to secure that up, but 378 yards passing by Jared Goff is too much. That's what they got to, to get to 9-8, you can't have that. You can't have that. This is a team missing 3 of their top weapons, and you give up 45 points. You're definitely impressed by what the Seahawks were able to do offensively. That's the plan. Always, Pete. Run the ball. Be really safe with the football. Geno Smith has been leading the NFL in accuracy. His accuracy, I think he was at 77%, is probably going to drop a little bit today, but he'll likely still be in the lead. He threw for 300 yards. He's giving you over what they would have expected from him. He's looking like a starter in this league, and like he's making himself a lot of money next year if Seattle doesn't ream up.
And he's keeping DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett happy. I mean, DK had a lot to say about this game going into it. He talked about Jeff Okudah. I know you're happy with Jeff Okudah's play this year, but he said there's a safety over top of him. He's not really locking down people, but he's a good corner. If someone says that to you, Rich, I know some people have slandered your name. If someone says that to you pregame, I mean, what does that do to a guy like Jeffrey Okudah?
Well, I would think it would pump him up and energize him, but he's been having a really solid season, really good season, and I mean, he's playing the coverage they call. But DK called his shot, and he made his shot. 7 for 149 and a bathroom visit on the court. He scared off Seahawks fans. Everybody's panicking, and he said, I just couldn't make it. I couldn't make it to the bathroom. So you know what? I got to ride. He said the clinching walk wouldn't get it done. And I said, that is the first. That is the first. The NFL never ceases to amaze, and DK, you're the winner for this week. That was hilarious. And did you see – let's talk about the Denver game. Another game where it looked like one team was in control. And you're like, uh-oh, here come the Raiders. Here come the Raiders. They're 0-3, about to be 0-4. This division that everybody talks so highly of, including myself, is about to have a team with no wins. And lo and behold, they decide to feed Josh Jacobs the entire game.
And they need to do more of that, Rich. Josh Jacobs, another fun fact, random fact. Josh Jacobs is on my fantasy team, Rich, and I have him on my bench along with Rashad Penny, who are both the high week scorers this week. So, really good start to the week or end of the week for me in that regard on a personal note. But, Richard, you're absolutely right. The Raiders have found their identity. They need to get Josh Jacobs more involved in this offense, and they did. And they were able to take control of this game and not relinquish it.
And that's on a Denver defense that's been incredibly stingy. They have not been giving up yardage. I mean, you just watched them last week against the Niners. I mean, they weren't giving up anything on the ground. They were stingy. They were tough. Today, they gave up a 100-yard receiver, a 100-yard rusher. I mean, you're not expecting that. Russell Wilson played a really solid game. He was efficient, 17 to 25 for 237, 2 touchdowns, 4 rushes. He was moving the ball, got a rushing touchdown, but they were 3 of 11 on third down, and that's what's damning them. Like, it's like if one side shows up, the other side doesn't show up. If the other side shows up, the other side doesn't show up, and a huge loss, a colossal, monumental loss, and people aren't going to appreciate it until later on. But Javonte Williams going down. You pray for his health, but that is a huge loss, and it's because Melvin Gordon is so bad with the football. Like, he's so bad at securing the football. I mean, I think that was his 3rd fumble of the year just this season in 4 games.
That's his 4th fumble of the year, Richard.
My mistake. I'm trying to give him a break. And it goes for a touchdown. Like, that's 7 points. I think one of the fumbles was at the goal line against Seattle. That's another 6-7 points. That's taking points off the board. Not only is he taking points off the board, he's giving them to the other team.
And now they're going to have to lean on him even more. I mean, it looks like Javonte Williams is not going to be back, anytime here in the near future. But, Richard, as bad of a loss as it is for the Denver Broncos, is as huge of a loss, or how huge of a win it is for that Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, they get their first win of the season against a division foe. Devontae Adams has a solid game, 9 catches, over 100 yards. I mean, when we were watching this game, all I could think was, when I was watching this and the Packers, is how much Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams probably miss each other right now. And then Derek Carr just kept slinging him the rock. And that's what they got to do. They got Josh Jacobs established the run, and when in doubt, feed Devontae, Rich.
Feed Devontae. And now you got to give credit to Pat Surtain Jr. Like, Pat Surtain is the real deal. He's a real deal corner. He's a lockdown guy. He's out there. Devontae, people are like, well, he only got a couple plays with Devontae. Most people don't get no plays with Devontae. Locking him down. It's a double. It's a triple. It's zoned off. You're clouding him. They were leaving him man-to-man coverage, press, off. He's pedaling. He's breaking down on comebacks. He's covering slants. He's covering some of Devontae's stuff. And the Raiders did a great job moving him in the slot, moving him around, making sure that they could diagnose the coverage. When Pat Surtain wasn't on him, they can just move him in the slot. Hey, we recognize his zone, and then work that. And they worked that magic. They got the ball to Darren Waller. It didn't seem forced today. It didn't seem like they were sitting there like scripting plays for guys like, hey, we got to get Darren 3 targets right now. We got to get Devontae 4 targets right now. What happened to Hunter? We got to get him. Oh, shoot, we got to get Jacobs 12 carries. Let's run the ball until he gets his 12. Like, it just seemed like they went with the flow of the offense. The run game's going, time of possession, they dominated it, 34 to 25. Like, that's what they need to do. Hopefully they think of that as the winning formula. But the Broncos got some questions to answer, and we will see them on TNF Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll be on talking about them. The game starts at 8:15 Eastern.
I know you're looking forward to that game, Rich. We got to change it up here. I know you're not. The world isn't excited about the Jets against the Steelers.
I'm excited about it.
Well, yeah, now you are, because my boy Mitch Trubisky is not representing the name very well, Rich. Mitch Trubisky finally gets unseated by Kenny Pickett, who goes out there and finds, a dazzling rookie, and George Pickens finally starts throwing the ball to him, Rich. I mean, my goodness. But then has 3 picks in the second half. I mean, what do? You're Mike Tomlin. This team is reeling. You're without TJ Watt. Your offense is struggling. What do you do week 5 to turn this thing around?
You continue with the Rook. The Rook had 3 interceptions. Cool. Got it. It's hard to come in as a game. You didn't get starter reps and all that. But what he showed was he gave them immediate energy. They went right down the field and scored. He was running the ball. He didn't know any better. Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. And he learned some hard lessons today that I think going forward, he will learn from, and he'll get better. He'll be better. But you know what the ceiling is with Trubisky. You already know what the ceiling is. You've watched him for years. His ceiling isn't that of a number 2 pick. It's not, and it hasn't been since he was drafted. But he is a capable NFL quarterback. He's a capable backup level NFL quarterback. He's not going to get you 350. He had a game where he threw 6 touchdowns, but that was a That was an outlier. That was an aberration. I don't know if that was legitimate. I mean, it was legitimate, but it's not something he can consistently do. But Pickett, I think the team can rally around it. Obviously today you don't never want to have 3 interceptions, and all of them weren't on him. There were some tips footballs. There were some balls that he got in there and guys didn't catch the ball. He was efficient when he could be. He didn't have a ton of his 3 incompletions were all interceptions. That's the unfortunate part, but he only had 3 incompletions. I think you ride with a hot hand, and he was finding another rookie. He was finding Pickett to Pickens, Pickett to Pickens, Pickett to Pickens. That's what you wanted to see. That's what you were expecting from the preseason. And, of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick continues his reign. If it wasn't for him, this season would be even wilder than it was for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, of course, he's playing at an all-pro level and showing people why he's valuable. I'm sure teams are going to be calling for him, but he's going to show loyalty to Tomlin as he should.
Richard, do you want to hear an MVP statistic?
Sure.
The Steelers are 0-7 without TJ Watt in the lineup. If that doesn't scream defensive MVP right there, I don't know what does. The NFL needs to start implementing a wins above replacement model like the MLB has, because the Steelers defense, you got to take care of Zach Wilson and the Jets is all I got to say. I know your boy Robert Saleh has got to be pretty happy right now though, Rich.
Yeah, they're not excited about the New York Jets. They should be. Like, Zach Wilson had a rough 3 quarters. I mean, that's about as rough as you can get and get a win. But guess what? They didn't pull him. They didn't waver. They continued to run the ball. They continued to play hard defense. DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, LaMarcus Joyner out there, 2 interceptions. My boy Whitehead, Jordan Whitehead, got him a pick. That was the first pick of the day for Kenny Pickett, but it wouldn't be the last. And it was just beautiful to see. They fought until the end. Of course, they didn't get the go-ahead touchdown until, I want to say, 9 seconds to go in the game. They were able to go ahead. It's nice to see. I mean, it's hard to win in New York. It's hard to win. They didn't have a ton of talent when they got in there. They've revamped some things. They're implementing a scheme, and they're battling, and it's great to see.
We got a team that creeped into your top 5 on your power ranks this year, finally. The Philadelphia Eagles continue their winning streak, 4-0 on the season. You can make an argument that the schedule's been somewhat soft, but they played the Jags, and the Jags have been solid this season. 2-1, they got out to a hot start, 14-0 right out the gates, and the Eagles came back and took over that game like they've been dominating the teams that they've played in the prior 3 weeks. Is this Philly team for real, Rich?
I keep telling you, Mitchell, the offensive line and defensive line, which are the 2 strengths of that team, are the reason they are for real. Because in this NFL, there is not another team with as solid of offensive line and a defensive line as they have. They have a top 5 both. Top 5 are marginally top 6, 7 maybe, but no other team has that. They're putting pressure on the quarterback. Trevor Lawrence was 11 of 23 for 174, 2 touchdowns, but he lost 4 fumbles. You know why he lost 4 fumbles? Because of the pass rush. He's the first player this century to lose 4 fumbles. But Jalen Hurts, we were screaming MVP, like, man, he's the MVP. Everybody came back to earth this week, Mitchell. It was the comeback to earth this week. End of the first quarter of the season, everybody returns to the planet. Josh Allen returned to the planet. Jalen Hurts returned to the planet. And our boy, Lamar, who's about to get the Brinks truck, come back to the planet. Threw a few interceptions. And that's what's so incredible about the National Football League is you have to keep doing it. Like, anybody can flash for a game. Anybody can flash for 2 games, 3 games, a half a season. But can you do it for 17? And if you can do it for 17, you usually are going to get some hardware that season. Are you going to be in the Pro Bowl in Vegas? Are you going to be the flag football game or whatever they're calling it these days?
Well, Richard, a quarter way through the season, Philly looks for real, in my opinion. And don't forget, we didn't mention our boy Big Play Slay on the outside, Rich. Come on now.
Mitchell, it's a reason you don't mention him. Because it ain't nothing to mention. They're not catching the ball over there. He makes it an issue. The pass rush, Slay, Bradbury, like, it's going to be tough all season. Hassan Reddick, 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, all day, always open. A.J. Brown, again, every week, you say his name. Every week, the buff Batman, what does Slay call him? The muscle Batman?
The buff Batman,
I believe. Buff Batman, 5 for 95. But guess who showed up today? Miles Sanders. Welcome back. 27 carries, 134, 2 touchdowns. That's what they needed. Hey, when everything's going bad, they went back to their run game. They were down 14-0. They battled
Richard,
back.
I got a question, and this pertains to general football scouting knowledge. How in the world does A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf, both of them, how do neither one of those guys go first round in the NFL draft? I mean, they're both built like Greek gods. I mean, they're both monsters. One's the buff Batman. I don't even know what you want to call DK. I mean,
it's people getting too much credit in the National Football League for evaluations. Like they're lazy. They're lazy and they're antiquated. Like, oh, run 40 yards, jump high. Let me see your hand. Let me see your hand. Let me see you stand on the stage. Jump this high. Jump far. Like, run back and forth a few times. Yeah, I think that's guy's a first rounder. I think out of that draft class, the best receivers came after the first round. You got Debo, you got AJ, you got DK, you got all the guys that you talk about these days came in the second round. The guys who got the highest paydays came in the second round. And that's why you say it's an inexact science. These guys aren't hitting every year. If they hit every year, then the first round will be way more of a guarantee. You'd be like, man, these guys, I want to figure out what their formula is. But nobody has the formula. They're guessing.
Oh, there's another one in Detroit. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god.
The sun god.
Fourth round pick, man. I mean, how like these guys just fall through the cracks, lack of size. I mean, yourself, Rich. I mean, let's not forget about you. Fifth round pick out of Stanford.
Tariq Woolen. Tariq the Freak.
Tariq Woolen. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. But point being, there's something wrong when you overlook those two. Richard, we saw another pretty darn interesting game, and it just went final. The Green Bay Packers snuck away with a win against the lowly, and I'm gonna emphasize that, the lowly New England Patriots, now 1-3 on the season. Richard, I cannot help but think Aaron Rodgers is going to get nipped at some point this season when the money's truly on the line. This wide receiving core is going to cost him that money. Romeo Weems, dime, dropped, game winner. I'm telling you, Rich, I was thinking all game, I cannot imagine how badly Aaron Rodgers wishes Davante Adams was in this lineup.
And how badly Davante Adams wishes he was in that lineup. And I don't think he wishes it that much because he loves being on the West Coast and he gets to see his family and everybody a lot more. But, however, that NFC North isn't what they thought it was going to be. The Minnesota Vikings went out to London and got it done. They are now 3-1, tied for the lead in the division. Like, it's not going to be a walk in the park at the end of the road. Although we go to the end. You know what I mean? Mitchell, I can't sing, but God dang it, that victory that the Minnesota Vikings had against the Green Bay Packers is going to be what comes back to bite him. Like, that's going to be a tough division. He can't trust those receivers, and he's trying his best. He's trying things out. He's like he's on a dating website. Like, he's speed dating with these receivers. Hey, you get a few catches. You get a chance to win the game. Drop. You get a chance. You get a chance to win the game. Drop. You give a chance. You get a chance to win the game. But nobody wants it. Nobody wants to be the guy, and he's giving everybody a shot, so you can't blame him.
Richard, it reminds me of the MTV's old show Next. Do you ever remember that one? Mm-hmm. I think he's seeing these guys, and another dating show that you're making reference to. Seeing these receivers, they're trying it out for him. He's like, next. Like, they're going to end up bringing some vet in here towards the tail end of the year, and trying to straighten this thing out. But until that day, I mean, they're going to keep grinding out wins, or so it seems.
Well, you got the MVP, the two-time back-to-back, well, four-time, but back-to-back MVP of the league. You're going to find a way. That's why they gave him $50 million. But I'm sure they're on the phone every week about a veteran that's on the trade block that they can get.
Well, they need to be on that. They need to be on that aggressively. Richard, and then the other side are the Patriots, the lowly Patriots. We talk about it every week, I feel like, Rich. What does this do to Bill Belichick's legacy the longer this goes on?
It continues to emphasize the point that maybe it was Tom. Every time you're like, well, Belichick, he found a way. Mac Jones, he found his answer in Mac Jones, and he can do it with anybody at quarterback. He can do it. He does it with anybody on defense. He does it with a bunch of guys that he trades for, undrafted free agents, especially in the secondary, playing man-to-man every play. And they're like, man, he doesn't need Tom. Tom needs him. You look up and Tom got a Super Bowl when he left.
Well,
Bill ain't
Richard,
got no Super Bowl.
It looks like it's going to be a long season for the Patriots. And I'll tell you what, man, I would love to know what the Vegas odds were for Bailey Zappi being the first rookie quarterback to throw a touchdown this season. I'd be very, very curious to know what that is.
Yeah, I'm sure they're astronomically low, Mitchell.
Richard, we've got a big game preview. Monday Night Football. I know you're going to be watching. Your San Francisco 49ers just so happen to be playing the LA Rams, and you got buddies on both sides of the ball. Give me your breakdown. What's your prediction for this game, and who comes away with the dub?
I don't know. I'm excited to watch it, though. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight. Outside of the playoff win that the Rams got, they have not beat the San Francisco 49ers in 6 consecutive games. And I'm excited to see how it's going to go. I think Debo, I mean, there's a lot to prove for San Francisco. You know, coming off the game they played against Denver, there's a lot of question marks. Right now, the Rams are feeling confident. They're rolling, but their interior offensive line has a lot of question marks. But Noteboom is finally playing pretty solid. Their defense is coming around. I'm excited to see.
Before we close, give me a winner and score projection, and we'll call it a day.
That's going to be tough. I got the Niners 24-21. That's my go-to score. 24-21 Niners.
I like it. I'm going to go 27-19 the Rams. And I hate to do that to you, Rich.
Yeah, Mitchell, we're going to have to call. I'm going to call you after this because we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. But, Richard, I'll let you sign us off for the night.
Well, I appreciate you guys joining us. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Check us out next week. Check me out Tuesday. We're going to try to have a special guest. I'm hoping to get a guy. Fingers crossed if I can get him. But I'll see you guys then. It's going to be more exciting content. I can give you my reaction to the game on Monday night. See you then.